now. I mean, set design now is incredible. Sometimes you work on a green screen set, so you have to imagine everything. So as an actor, your imagination is one of the key things that moves you forward, because without it, you can't see the world around you. When you're dressed in the period costume, when you're walking through a village that has been created and the extras are there, etc., it gives you the ability to go into that world a little easier. I think you also have to understand what it was like to live in that world as well. Somebody else actually asked me a while ago, what's it like in a certain area and a certain historical time period? And I'm like, well, I really don't know. All I've got is my imagination and what I've read in books as to what it was like. So you have to create that. So being in a action film, it has a certain type of parameters to it, such as you have to, make sure you're doing all your. It's physically taxing, which I'll get to in a second on something else. But it's physically taxing, of course, and so you have to physically be in shape. Whereas a film like 9 Miles Down would be a little bit more. It's more cerebral. It's much more. It gets more into your head. So, what is easier? I think the action portion of it is easier in a sense, because it's a physical thing which we're more used to, whereas really getting into our psyche and into our brains is something we don't really do, because most of us have two characters. They say, Geminis have two faces, but actually we all do, because we have one face that we show people and one face who we really are. And, I always say you only really see who a person is when they're in trouble, because that true person comes out. And, that's something we have to be very aware of. So to answer your question, Morgan, it's supernatural films. I haven't done a lot of them. I think that one's, in a sense, a little easier because that's more acting oriented and not so physical. I think you have to kind of feel what the moment is and what is it you're scared of. I mean, I think a lot of the time, horror films, or supernatural films, should I say, have an imagination of what you're scared of. So you might not be scared of ghosts. You might be scared of cats. You might be scared of babies. I don't know, whatever it is. So you have to use that as an actor, usually those techniques to put in instead of what you're actually seeing as an actor on stage or on set. So there are different... how can I put it? Different types of things that you have to work on in different types of films. All right, so next one. How did I learn to show spontaneous reaction for like crying? Claudia Melham. Hello, Claudia. How are you? Hopefully Germany is nice and warm at the moment. Do I have to think of something sad, and how do you release it? Now, crying, it's interesting because crying, everybody goes, oh, that actor's great. He cried in the scene, or she cried in the scene. And that's what I was like when I first started. I was like, I've got to be able to cry in this. This is a really emotional moment. But that's not what really gets you. When you are in an emotional scene, most of the time, when we are in pain, we try not to cry. And when you try not to cry, the interior pain is much greater. And the tears just are an effect of the pain that you feel. Crying is a reaction. The emotion of crying is something that is an interior and is much more effective to an audience. You can, and whatever it is for you as an audience member that resonates, that makes a scene touch you. So, for instance, you lost your mother. You've seen a scene with a young boy talking to his mother, how he's never been able to say the words he wanted to say to her or whatever. It really will affect you much quicker than seeing a scene about a dog dying, for instance. So each of us have those triggers. As an actor, what you tend to try and do is you're trying to get to the real emotion, the real basic what does this moment mean to you? As a moment in a scene, sometimes it's easy to get there. Sometimes there's very little work that needs to be done because the scene resonates with you anyway. Other times you have to substitute different things. Now, I've talked about this before, and I think, the emotion, when you really are trying to hold emotion back and it comes from within, it really kind of affects you, and you can't hold it back. It just comes, and the more you hold it back, the more effective it is. I was taught, that was one of the main lessons I was taught as an actor, is that just don't try crying, because crying, okay, boo, great, you cry. Well, okay. Sometimes, have you noticed that? I don't know if you've noticed that. Sometimes you'll look at a scene and somebody cries and it doesn't really affect you that much. But when it really affects the actor on a subconscious level, in a deep level, that's really when it comes across on the series or movies or whatever it is that you're actually watching. So I think it's difficult. And as I said, sometimes some scenes are much easier to recreate than others. It was just, Deborah Lindsay actually asked me, "Hi, Deborah, how are you? Hope you're doing well. I'll be coming back to Santa Clara this year." We would like to. Again, we are still catching up a little bit this year. We're going to be trying to get a little bit ahead of things this year for next year. I have a couple of things happening in the summer, perhaps, that have slowed things down a little bit. But we're going to try and come back to Santa Clara and find a different spot. Love coming up there. So we try to come back to places that were successful for us or popular, so that we can continue what we did there already. Because I think it's important for us to bring things back to you guys that are really fans of it. Because it doesn't make any sense business-wise for us to go to a place, because there are a lot of expenses that get taken into consideration when you do a sword experience, that if we don't have the attendance, then it makes no sense for us to do it. But sometimes we do events that don't have a lot of people, which is also perfectly fine. So we balance those types of events where we have 30, 40 people, and sometimes where we have only 15 or 16. We have had, and this goes to some of you that have mentioned before, we had a meeting, and I think I mentioned this on one of my other lives. We had a meeting of a lot of our instructors from across the country before this new year started, and we asked them what were the things that they saw that worked and that didn't work. And we are changing some of the stuff in the way we structure things, so that nobody's going to be sitting around doing nothing. If you're more interested in doing the sword work than the filming, that's perfectly fine as well. So we're going to be splitting up our groups in the time, as well as giving you the breaks and maybe even the lunches that some of you may need to do, because it is a long day. 5 or 6 hours can be a very long day sometimes. So we're trying to listen to what you guys are telling us. So if you have any suggestions, or if you have any ideas as to what we should do or things that we can improve, please send it to us, because we're always trying to change new things. Which brings me to something else that's coming out now. Those of you know, we've launched our new tracksuits, our joggers, and which are really cool. I don't have one on me right now, but they're really cool. They come up like if you usually have a large, I would get an extra large. If you have a medium, I would get a large, because the jackets come up a little snug. They're slimmer fitting type of look, but they look really cool. The pants look great. But we are also, I'm about to announce this here, in a few weeks, we will have the very first Sword Experience aluminum bokens. We have never done these before. In the 5 years we've done, we're going to launch these. There will be only 10 that we will number and will be signed, or can be signed if you wish. But there will only be 10 of these bokens that will have this, the first 10. And we will be running a competition as well to win the number 1. So be on the lookout for that, because these are unique. And we're moving into doing aluminum bokens as well as probably some steel bokens with the sword experience handles that we have, because we'd like you to sort of have something a little extra to work with. Now, we are also, a couple of you found it, and we hadn't really launched it yet. We were just kind of testing the page, but someone found it was released, so they actually got it, which are the training videos. They did come out this week for like 2 minutes, and immediately a couple of people jumped on them. And we just wanted to clarify a couple of things in it and smooth out a couple of the other things. So we are going to launch this probably by Monday or Tuesday, the new training videos. I say new training videos. They're the revamped training videos with a whole brand new concept behind them, in the way that we are now going to start creating levels in the sword experience by testing you on the work that you do with these videos. Now, these videos are not only for sword work, they're also for your mobility and your strength and your stamina, because there's a lot of stretching in it. There's a lot of workouts in there that you can actually really get a great workout in. But the sword work in it, there are the challenges at the end that we will ask you, and I will review those challenges. The whole package is actually for 12 videos. This is the first set, and we have decided that we will also include a challenge on that, which has a series of questions in the first set, that if you answer those correctly and do those correctly, you'll pass that grade, and you will get a certificate, and you also get the ability to get a paracord bracelet that denotes that level in the sword experience. So it's a fun thing that allows you now to work out a little bit more when we're not doing sword experience events, so you can actually put these events, or put the things that you're learning into practice. So by the time you come to an event, you're not worrying about, oh, do I need to step here? Do I need to do that? You'll actually be a lot better at swinging, and you'll be able to enjoy the day as well with the different partners that you have that may push you a little bit further than you actually wanted to do anyway. So those have come out. Those are coming out. So I'm kind of excited about that, because Larry Schwartz, hello Larry, how are you? Do I have a favorite genre or historical period that I like to act in? You know, I'm actually revamping the Highlander Memories, and by doing so, I'm doing it on a video, so that I'm actually videoing these, and they're not just audio now. We may revamp the first 15, but from about 15 onwards, we've started using videos on them and looking at the actual episodes, because I haven't seen these episodes in a very long time, and maybe only once. You know, I watched the episode. Okay, it's done. Fine, thank you. Blah. In looking at them, I kind of go, wow, that one was really actually pretty good. I just did Saving Grace, which was a really, I thought was a really good episode for the first season. And it started having the heart that I thought Highlander really, you know, should have in it. And it started, the writing had started to get that sort of essence that followed through for season 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so, you know, it was great. But as a time period, that time period was really fun, because it was a swashbuckling mustache type, or goatee type, not goatee, I don't know what you call these, like chevalier type of looks. That was kind of fun, because it was kind of flary. So time periods, I'm not really, the ones that are a little bit more, how can I put it, reserved, are kind of okay to play in, but I kind of like the fun ones, you know, those chevalier ones. The one, for instance, we played the riverboat thing with those costumes on the riverboat when Elizabeth Grayson or Amanda and myself were gambling on a riverboat. That was fun, which was in the American West. The one from Scotland, obviously, is always a great one, because it was always the roots of MacLeod, and it had a great feel to it. That rough and tumble Scottish basis, you know, that we were. How can I put it? Was really the heart of Highlander, and there's something really endearing about Scotland for people. I can't tell you what it is. I mean, you've got Outlander, you've got Highlander, you've got Rob Roy, you've got Braveheart. I mean, all those, they're massive movies, and the stories that come out of them are very heartfelt and very pure.